Thank you for joining together. We Innovate Storage Acceleration Week. You are at the Save and Scale with Cloud Backup and Disaster Recovery. When you joined today's webinar, you selected to join either by phone call or your computer audio. If for any reason you would like to change your selection, you can do so by accessing your audio pane in your control panel. Also, from this control panel, you will have the opportunity to submit questions to today's presenters by typing your questions in the question pane. We will collect those and address them during the Q&A session at the end. If we are not able to get to your question, we will respond to each of you through email. At the end of today's session, you will also receive a set of survey questions. Please ensure that you take the time out to provide your feedback so we can continue to improve and understand what you require to become successful in your business. This is also a platform to highlight if you need any further assistance from AWS and Druva and Infofabrica after this session. Finally, this session is being recorded and we will share a copy of the recording by the end of next week. Welcome to AWS Storage Week, Save and Scale with Cloud Backup and Disaster Recovery. My name is Pramita Jawardar, Partner Program Manager from APAC. In today's agenda, we will go with the following flow. We have an opening keynote and the partner introduction. We will then have session by Druva and Infofabrica. We will end the session with a call to action and Q&A. So, protecting data is essential for every organization, right? At AWS, we work with a very diverse set of customers owning small businesses, startups, enterprises, and some highly regulated industries such as finance, healthcare, and insurance. Regardless of the industry or the size of the customer business, one thing is common. Every business values its data immensely. So protecting data is essential and fundamental. Not something we just want, but we need too. So is it easy to achieve data protection deploying an efficient backup and disaster recovery solution in your environment? Let's learn more. Implementing an efficient backup and DR solution can be difficult. The exponential growth of data worldwide has made managing backups more complex than ever before. Many organizations extend backup targets to the cloud with traditional methods such as tape libraries and secondary sites falling behind. While the cloud offers better scalability, building cloud-enabled backup solutions require careful consideration of existing IT investments, recovery objectives, and available resources. That's where Amazon Web Services and our partners like Druva and Infofabrica can help. AWS offers the most storage services, data transfer methods, and networking options to build solutions that protect your data and with unmatched durability and security. The AWS Partner Network APN is the largest community of cloud consulting and technology partners. All APN partners have proven technical expertise of the AWS platform and customer success with their products and services. AWS Storage Competency Partners also offer AWS integrated storage solutions for primary storage, backup, and restore disaster recovery and data archive. However, one of the silver linings is that this year we had the importance of data protection and business continuity thanks to COVID. In this context today, we will learn about data protection performance, minimizing total cost of ownership with a cloud-native backup and recovery solution provided and powered by AWS. We're excited to invite AWS partners Infofabrica and Druva to share more about staying resilient against ransomware attacks, recover against cyber attacks, and protect personal data. Infofabrica was established in 2013 as an IT hybrid cloud consulting and managed services firm to guide organizations through their digital transformation cloud era. The company has broadened its geographical footprint in South and Southeast Asia with offices in Singapore, Indonesia, India, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Infofabrica is the first AWS partner network member in Southeast Asia to achieve Amazon Web Services storage competency. The professional certification by leading cloud provider AWS recognizes InfoFabrica's deep domain and consulting expertise in helping enterprises adopt and deploy complex storage solutions in AWS, ranging from data lifecycle management, backup and recovery to business continuity and disaster recovery. As a global provider, InfoFabrica employs more than 300 people in a diverse and dynamic workspace that spans across multi-countries in multi-regions. Druva delivers data protection and management of the cloud era. Druva Cloud Platform is built on AWS and offered as a service, delivering globally inaccessible, infinitely scalable, and completely autonomous enterprise data resiliency. Customers drive down costs by up to 50% by freeing themselves from the burden of unnecessary hardware, capacity planning, and software management. Druva's patented cloud architecture transforms backup data into an asset, making it more open and accessible so customers can streamline governance, improve cyber resiliency, and gain critical insights to uncover opportunities and expedite decision-making. Druva employs more than 800 people in a diverse and dynamic workplace spanning over 10 countries and delivering services globally. It's also an advanced technology partner and a storage competency partner of AWS. That's about InfoFabrica and Druva. And now let's welcome our speakers. Can we have the speakers on camera, please? And we have Nachiketa Kumar, who's a Senior Partner Solution Architect Storage from AWS. He's based out of Singapore, works with storage partners across APJ to build joint solutions and help customers make better decisions for their data storage requirements and use cases like backup, disaster recovery, data management, and archive. Shijiatan, Corporate Accounts Lead from Druva, is the Corporate Accounts Lead for Druva in ASEAN. He's a certified AWS Cloud Practitioner and is ITBCM certified. He's passionate about helping end users safeguard their business critical data, and he has close to a decade of experience in the data protection and management industry. Lawrence Tay, Senior Solution Architect from InfoFabrica. Lawrence Tay has more than 14 years of experience across technology and consulting business. He's a technologist in data center industry, especially in the fields of storage and cloud computing. Currently, he's working at InfoFabrica to build, consult, and advise the hybrid cloud practice across Singapore and Malaysia. Prior to joining InfoFabrica, he worked in Dell EMC for 4 years as a pre-sales focused on growing and gaining technical wins within public healthcare, governance, and commercial sector in the country of Singapore. So we welcome Nachiketa, Shiajitan, and Lawrence Tay. Welcome to the East stage. And now I will hand it over to Druva.
All right, thank you, Pramita. So hi everyone, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Thanks a lot for taking the time out. And yeah, you know, without further ado, let's kickstart. I'm really excited to share more about Druva with everyone today. Yeah, so just I guess a little bit history about Druva. So Druva, we are actually today still considered as a startup company. We started about 12 years ago, but very quickly into our first 4 year of business, we pivoted into the cloud native backup solution. And we have built our solution, you know, since 8 years ago, natively inside of AWS. As you guys can see, we are actually a top 5 storage partner with AWS today. We have serving more than 4,000 customers from around the world. We are performing up to more than 7 million backups every single day. That I believe we are hitting like 2.5 trillion backup a year today, right? With more than 165 petabytes of data being managed. So I guess, you know, in the data protection space today, what organizations are looking out for today, and really when customers come to me today, what am I kind of like hearing regularly? So the first thing that I'm hearing very regularly is customers coming to me trying to reduce their cost and complexity in terms of storage and when it comes to data protection as an entire solution. The second would actually be to increase cyber resiliency because of, you know, a lot of rampant ransomware attacks today, and to maintain compliance with a lot of data loss happening, you know, like GDPR or in like PDPA. And lastly, to accelerate and protect cloud projects. So many companies today because of COVID, also are accelerating their digital transformation. And while they are migrating to the cloud, they want to make sure those workloads are well protected. So let's go so I'm going to go into like each of this segment one by one. And the first segment that you guys are seeing is how would Druva help to reduce cost and complexity for data protection. So as what you can see over here in this slide, right, is that the traditional or legacy backup today can be a little bit too complicated in my opinion, right? I'm sure many of you would actually relate to this, or in fact, this is exactly what you're doing, right? To back up your production servers, you actually need to go and procure your own backup software. You will need to go procure your own backup server. Okay, you install, software and server together. So congratulations, now you've got a local backup, right? But that's not just it, right? In backup, you also need to have an offsite copy. So for offsite copy, the three common choices that I'm seeing right now is that if the customer does have a second site, they will buy hardware again, and there'll be a replication site. If you want a cheaper option, you may resort to tapes, or some customers will use cloud as an offsite storage. Okay, so the current method now, it's really too complicated, right? And I think the worst thing here is that you are still in risk of ransomware attacks, because I've just really in the last 1 to 2 months, I've been talking to different customers using different types of backup solutions or data protection solutions, and they all get infected or hit by ransomware today, right? So imagine spending all that money and effort only to find that at the end of the day, your data protection strategy doesn't work, right? So not only with the legacy backup, it's really increasing total cost of ownership. The potential data loss, right, and downtime can really lead to negative brand reputation and unhappy customers today. So how Druva really simplifies it is really the option for you guys to perform what I call direct to cloud backup. So on the left, it's not an exhaustive list, but just some examples of the workloads that we commonly protect. Okay, so with all these workloads that we protect, all you need to do right now is to install an agent, okay, configure your backup policies, and then everything can be backed up directly into the cloud. Okay, so you don't have to manage all those hardware or software component within your data center anymore, right? At the same time, if you are telling me, hey, SJ, okay, I understand that convenience of direct to cloud backup, but there are certain workloads that are critical to me. And when it comes to recovery, I want to make sure I can have a faster recovery using LAN speed instead of, WAN speed, right? So that's no problem, right? Then we'll give you a free software. We call it a cloud cache, which you can just install on any existing environment or infrastructure that will actually be able to help you back up and keep local backup copies, while the rest of the non-critical ones would still be synced to the cloud. Okay, so it's really as easy as that. It's as flexible as it can come. And then when it comes to recovering from the cloud, you basically have two main options. One is we are actually assisting customers to do disaster recovery within AWS today, as compared, so by doing DR in AWS today, as compared to running a physical DR, the good thing and the beauty about running DR in AWS is that it's because it's a pay-as-you-go service. It just means that when your DR is on a cold standby, as a customer, you're paying very minimal to actually no cost. Okay, your cost will really start kicking in when you really need DR, as compared to a physical DR whereby customers sometimes would pay for co-location. That's like paying physical rental. Whether or not DR is happening, you are paying for those co-location fee every single month, right? The second option, we just call it easy recovery to really any location of your choice, right? So in today's globalization, I do have many customers who have remote offices or remote sites spread across the world. And the beauty about Druva is that once everything is being backed up into the cloud, okay, you could actually have each of your office site as like a redundant site. So I have many customers who, for example, if they back up data from location A, and if location A is down, they could simply, recover data into location B. And that's the beauty and flexibility that Druva can provide today. Now, the next thing that I want, so after I've talked about briefly how we help to reduce cost and complexity. Now let's look into protecting cloud workloads. Even before I start that, right, here's kind of like a trick question, to ask everyone. True or false, when it comes to either cloud or SaaS workloads that you're using today. Today, very popular SaaS workloads would be like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or Salesforce, right? If you're on any of such platform, do you need a backup, right? Next, please. So the answer is actually false. It's actually a very wrong assumption to think that once you're on a cloud platform, you do not need backup. I think it's a very important reminder for everyone that cloud is a shared responsibility model. While the cloud provider always take care of the infrastructure and security layer, data is always customer's responsibility. And over here is just a very simple example of of Microsoft's own service agreement, right? That clearly states that that you see they are not liable for any form of data loss or disruption, and that they do recommend customers to regularly back up their content and data using third-party applications, and Druva is one such example. The second thing is, this is definitely like the most common thing that I'm hearing every single day. Right before I joined this webinar, I'm actually having a call with the exact use case of customers losing data in Microsoft 365 most of the time because of a accidental data deletion. So what many people are unaware is that there are actually gaps in what let's say 365 or Google Workspace can provide today. And one of the most common gap is that actually whatever data that gets deleted, okay, it actually only is able to stay in the trash for a certain period of time before your cloud provider reserves the right to permanently delete them. Lastly, again on ransomware attacks, I've also spoken to customers who unfortunately, because of a phishing email or a ransomware in disguise type of email, their entire tenant got encrypted and they actually lost their emails or their Google or OneDrive data permanently. So this is where Druva basically comes in, right? Druva, we want to provide you that single pane of glass. We provide what we call the Druva Cloud Platform, which is powered by AWS, to easily manage and handle different types of data and workloads. So we have categorized data into 3 categories. You've got your endpoint data. Now, with the COVID situation, many people working from home, we are getting a lot of inquiries on this. We've got your hybrid workloads or your enterprise workloads. So these are your workloads within your data center. Lastly, cloud workloads. So cloud workloads, I know I spoke a lot about Microsoft 365 or Google, but for any customers who are also using native AWS workloads, we actually help to manage and back up those data as well. So, now that you kind of understand the breadth and the depth of what Druva can do, what our cloud can actually back up, what else can we do for you, right? And this is where I personally really like about the Druva cloud, because being in the backup industry for so many years, a lot of time once your data is being backed up, it kind of sits aside as a white elephant, right? It doesn't really add any additional value. It's kind of also like a love-hate relationship when you really need to use your backup data, because when you need to use it, it probably means that something bad has gone wrong. So what can Druva do on top of just backing up those data? So next slide, please. So with all this data being backed up to the cloud and using AWS with infinite compute and machine learning, we can actually help customers with areas like sensitive data governance, right? So I've talked about how in today's world, many companies also want to step up in terms of compliance. And I gave examples like PDPA or GDPR. If you're from a certain industry, basically you also have to adhere or follow certain industry standards, right? So like if you're in financial, you have to follow things like PCI. If you're in healthcare, you have to follow things like HIPAA. So what Druva has done for customers is that we have already uploaded a lot of these predefined policies for customers ready to use. But you can also create customizable templates and do specific sensitive data matchings that you want. So our sensitive data matching, right, is basically on an interval or a scheduled level. So every time a sensitive data is being detected, as an administrator, you actually get a live alert. Once you get this live alert, right, of course, you can run some investigation, you can quarantine the file for the time being, but more importantly, you actually get to do what we call defensible deletion. Okay, if you really identify a user who is holding onto a sensitive document that he or she is not supposed to have, you can actually delete that file away from source. You can even go one step further by deleting that file away from all the backup snapshots, right? And why would you do that? Because in GDPR or in PDPA, there is such a clause known as rights to be forgotten, right? So if a customer do come to your company and says, I want all my data, all my personal particular to be removed, this is how this sensitive data governance can be useful to your organization. Another area to actually help with cybersecurity, it's our own ransomware recovery feature, right? Again, with through machine learning, we actually can do abnormality detection today, and what we are trying to capture is like massive encryption or deletion. So on the screenshot that you guys can see over there, you can see most of on the bottom right, you can see a lot of blue bars. So those are actually through machine learning, we have defined them as healthy snapshots, and then the red bars are actually infected snapshots. I don't think you guys will be able to see clearly, but just know that in one of the red bars, basically what it says is that 1,000 files has been found encrypted, and that's that definitely an abnormality here. It could be a potential ransomware attack. So immediately what's going to happen is that infected snapshots is being quarantined automatically by us to reduce any form of contamination risk. And then when it comes to recovery, we also provide what we call the golden snapshot. Okay, and the scenario here would really be sometimes for customers who are super badly infected by ransomware, the ransomware could have hit them on multiple snapshot, and they don't know which snapshots are really healthy or which specific files are really healthy. Again, with machine learning, what Druva will do is that we will scan through all the files, we will select all the best and healthy files that you're looking out for. We will piece every healthy file together as a synthetic snapshot, also known as the golden snapshot, so that you don't have to do all those manual research work. Let us do it for you, so that you can also recover your data quickly. So I've talked about how we have simplified backup. I've talked about how we provide the additional protection for cloud workloads. I've talked about how we help customers increase their compliance and cyber resiliency. It's also important to share with everyone why the Druva Cloud Platform is a very secure platform. Okay, so we have actually sort of multiple layers of security in place. So of course, end-to-end encryption, right? So when data is being transferred in transit and at rest, you've got your TLS 1.2 encryption followed by an AES 256-bit encryption. The Druva platform itself, okay, even without that ransomware recovery feature that I just talked about, our platform itself is malware resilient. Okay, basically what this means, or actually what happens, is that when we are backing up your data, we do data sharding into block levels, and then these blocks are stored in a serverless environment. So this is how we actually ensure that any files that we back up, even if it's infected, we ensure that it's your snapshot is immutable, and that ransomware or any kind of malware will not be able to execute or run in our platform. 100%, the Druva Cloud Platform, we have no access and no backdoor to customers' data. We use a digital envelope encryption to ensure this. And just to share, as a fun fact, right, we are probably the only cloud backup platform that has accreditation from both the Singapore government and the US government, safe to be used, right? And our security, our data privacy definitely has to be of the highest standard to actually get the respective accreditations. The other point is our own independent security certification. So this is something that is also, I would say, unique to us. So many of our competitors or providers, when they help customers or they assist customers to back up to a cloud platform, let's say using AWS as an example, when you ask them about the security certification, they would most of the time just rely on the service provider's certification, in this case, let's say AWS. Nothing wrong with it, but what Druva has done is one step further. We want to make sure on an application level, and since we are providing this as a service model, backup as a service model, right? We want to make sure that our applications and our backend services are highly secure, so that we go through our own independent security certification. Okay, and then of course, leveraging on AWS, we offer the highest data availability and durability today, and we also leverage on AWS global infrastructure. So we are actually accessible in, I think, 14 or 15 regions from all around the world. So really, depending on compliance reason or for performance reason, you can actually decide where you want to store your data today. And just know that at every region, your data has redundancy, right? Because at every AWS AZ, your data is basically replicated in across 3 independent data centers. And that's really just a very simple overview on our security. And I just want to let everyone know that security is something we take a lot of pride in and something that we take very seriously.
Hey, SJ, I want to interrupt a bit here, and I have a few questions. First of all, thanks for sharing the solution details. It's really impressive to see some of the advanced data management features, and I particularly like the SaaS component of Druva. I know working in this domain for last 10, 15 years, managing backup is really not easy, and Druva is making it easy for many customers. So I have 2 questions before you move to some of the exciting customer stories, I guess. So let's start with the first one.
Mhm.
Now, you covered different workloads, right? Druva can back up endpoints, cloud native, and on-premises workload. My question is specific to this on-premises workload. So how does Druva helps achieve a recovery strategy, let's say, toward the ransomware attack for these on-premises workload in a hybrid setup? Is there anything specific we should be taking care as a customer?
I think thanks Nachikita. It's a very good question. So I think the key thing to take note, as I've also shared very briefly earlier, is that for the on-premise workloads today, a lot of the customers, because I'll just be very frank, a lot of competitors or in the backup space, the common strategy is, as long as you have a backup, you have a good recovery strategy against ransomware. But what I want to highlight is that it may be true in the earliest day of ransomware, but with what I've seen recently, that's not true anymore, because the ransomware today are very smart. They would actually look out for your backup first. They would actually go on to either encrypt or delete your backup even before they do anything to your production server. And a lot of the on-prem backups that I see today, they are running on a Windows. Most of them, it's mandatory to run on like a Windows environment. And this is no knock on Windows, right? It's just very common, but that also makes it vulnerable. That just gives ransomware a chance to attack. So you need to take note that just having a backup is not enough. You need to make sure, and you need to make sure that your backup snapshots are immutable. And I think this is where Druva really differentiates, by providing that immutable snapshot in the Druva cloud platform. Because of this immutable snapshot, as actually just this is the right slide, right? As you can see in slide number 2, the immutable snapshot is how we make sure that we are malware resilient. It's actually how we make sure that you really have a foolproof recovery strategy even when ransomware hits you. So I hope that answers your question, Nachiketa.
Yeah, and is this immutability coming out of the maybe S3 object lock at the backend
We used, yeah, sorry, go on.
from AWS, or it's a combination of object lock and some logic at Druva end?
Yeah, so we actually use a ton of native services with AWS. So storage like S3 is just one of the common services, but we also used like DynamoDB and many other services. So what we do is we actually split those data into like the metadata level and the physical data level. So that's actually one of the ways how we achieve that immutability as well.
Great. My second question is because we are drilling down to the AWS services. Now, one of the most important thing for storing data is Amazon S3, right? And we have different classes. So just want to understand whether Druva supports different classes, in particular archive classes like Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive.
Yes, we actually do. So other than just S3, we do support the different storage classes. So both Glacier and Deep Archive, we do support them. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Great. I'll let you share some of the great customer stories so we can understand more how customer achieve some of the efficiency what
Okay,
Druva
sure.
provides.
Okay, so I'm going to run through 3 case studies with everyone, and you'll see each of the case studies will actually cover one of the key areas that that I was talking about in the earlier slide. So let's maybe look at the first case study. So the first one that we looked at is from Sembcorp. If you're Singaporean, basically, you definitely know this company. It's a very famous, very big company over here in Singapore. And what they are using in Druva, right? It's actually our product known as InSync. So we actually help them back up more than 3,000 endpoints and Microsoft 365 user. And the use case here is to really increase cyber resiliency, right? So, and actually a little bit of the digital transformation and protecting cloud workloads. So for Sembcorp, they've been a very long-term endpoint backup. They first started off because they wanted to have a strategy against, when ransomware first started, it was really attacking just endpoints primarily. So they wanted a strategy to protect all their users against a ransomware attack. So they started off with endpoint backup. And then shortly, with digital transformation, a few years later, they moved into Microsoft 365. And even though in Microsoft 365, they were using one of the more premium licenses that had litigation or journaling elements, they found that the protection for 365 was still not good enough, because first they have identified certain native gaps, and secondly they found that in terms of recovery, if they were to use those default services offered by Microsoft, it's going to take them a very long time to recover data. So how Druva basically helps, right, is, we offer them that single pane of glass to easily manage all the 3,000 endpoints and 365 user. We actually also have like a self-service restore option with audit trail, whereby, users actually can do some self-service restore. That itself will already save a lot of time from the IT help desk. And then because we are in AWS, it provides that natural air gap from Microsoft 365 into the Druva cloud, powered by AWS. So effectively, the customer has you're using like 2 of the strongest cloud provider. And then finally, when it comes to recovery, our UI is so easy to use, whereby, as you can see over there, we are 12 times faster when it comes to just restoring any lost email using Druva as compared to what they use natively inside of Microsoft. Next. The second use case is Amore Pacific. I really like this one, and this is how we actually help an enterprise customer to reduce cost and complexity. So Amore was actually using, of course, one of the competition product. It's actually just the way that the competitor product works. It's exactly like in my earlier slide, how the legacy backup works, right? Customer needs to have their own software, they need to buy their own hardware, and then for offsite, they need to buy hardware again, right? So there is like capex, very heavy capex costs invested upfront on a depreciating asset, because there's no hardware that will, last forever. And as their data grow, plus the fact that they needed to run full backup once a week, their backup job was taking a very long time to complete. Their restore job and time was also taking a long time to complete. And very soon, because their data was growing so rapidly, their storage capacity was at its limit, right? They didn't want to go through that headache of tech refreshment or expanding storage capacity again. So they were exploring a cloud backup, okay, and that's where Druva comes in. So what Druva has actually helped them is really lowering. First, we have already lowered their overall TCO by more than 30%, but more importantly, we actually help them save more than, you know, or up to 30 man hours every single month, right? So that those man hours can be used to perform more meaningful IT project basically. So as you can see over there, you know, we slashed their full backup by 60%, and then and hence the overall data needed to be back up to the cloud was saved by more than 50%, and all the capex costs were all removed, because for Druva we work on a subscription model and like an annual subscription OPEX model, and there was no need for any hardware anymore. Okay, so next please. The last one is actually version 1, and this is a customer who uses a lot of AWS native workload. They are a managed service provider themselves, so they manage a lot of customers' data, everything that's running behind AWS. So the good thing about Druva is that we have this product known as Cloud Ranger. Okay, what Cloud Ranger can actually do is for any native AWS services that you guys may be running, we can actually help to centralize and consolidate all your accounts and all your instances in a single pane of glass. We can actually, you know, create easy backup policies and DR policies, and the DR policies could be to a different VPC, it could be even to a different region. Okay, all these are easily configurable as compared to having the need to, you know, do scripting or run manual snapshots. What Cloud Ranger can actually also do for you guys is actually, we also, again, through machine learning, we actually have our own analytics, and we will give recommendations to customers. So with all the workloads that we have consolidated, we will say, hey, you know, we realize certain workloads are basically inactive at a certain period of time, and that you may want to maybe reduce resources or turn them off at a certain period of time. And with this, as you guys can see, what version 1 has achieved, right, is that first, with that machine learning, right, and that analytics and recommendation, we actually help them save more than $10,000 every single year. Okay, and then because we can auto configure and perform all those restore and DR job, we've also helped them save more than 100 hours, you know, every year. Which, you know, if you guys are like an MSP, you guys, you know, imagine we can help you save another 100 hours, another more than $10,000 a year. That's pretty powerful. That would actually drastically affect your P&L, right? So I personally think this case study with version 1 is actually very interesting. So next, please. Yeah. So I love to really share more. But so if you guys have any other questions you're unsure, just, you know, feel free to reach out to me. I know everything here today is like just on an overview level, but in summary, where do Druva really differentiate is that, you know, I've talked about how we have that Druva cloud platform. We offer that single pane of glass that will easily protect your endpoints, your cloud workloads, and your hybrid workloads. Our entire backup, you know, can be done with zero infrastructure. So everything can be done direct to cloud. Depending on what workloads you're using, if you're just talking about 365 backup, it can be done as easy, and it can be set up easily within 15 minutes. Our business model is also what I think is really interesting. We operate on a SaaS model. So everything just works on a very simple annual subscription basis. Whatever that you pay for, it's already all inclusive. So as a customer, you do not need to have any AWS expertise. Don't worry about it. You do not need to open up any AWS account or VPC. Everything will be 100% handled by us. Whatever that you pay for will already come with all the licensings you require, all the storage, all the software updates and patches are all done free and automatic. You get 24/7 free support as well. And then even more importantly, all the egress charges that is out from AWS, it's all 100% handled by us. So really our business model is really neat, really clean, and this is also why many customers are starting to come to us today. So I spoke about our cyber resilient security, right? How we have immutable snapshots and that we provide complete data privacy. We have no access to customers' data at all. And then finally, apart from just backup and data protection, we can add value to your data by having sensitive data governance through our our machine learning. So yeah, I think with that, Pramita, next slide. Yeah, with that, actually, we've come to the end. This is really just a very quick snapshot of some of the customers that we serve. You can see, customers like NASA, customers like Zoom, customers like Pfizer, and even VMware, right? They are long-term customers of ours. And I hope that gives you a little bit confidence in not just our capability, but definitely our security. Next slide. So with that, I've actually come to the end of my sharing, but I also want to introduce everyone to InfoFabrica. InfoFabrica is actually one of our core partners here for Druva in Southeast Asia. A lot of our big projects are all handled by InfoFabrica. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Lawrence. Lawrence, over to you, please.
Thanks, SJ. Hi, my name is Lawrence, and I wish to thank all the participants for their precious time. Without further ado, let me jump into who InfoFabrica is and what we do with Druva. We are a digital transformation and consulting company, enabling our clients to overcome the limitations of traditional on-premise business applications and unlock the power and flexibility of cloud, helping customers move to the cloud and beyond. We have more than 450 customers with more than 275 cloud certifications and have a myriad of experience gathered for more than 300 cloud migration projects. We are backed by a capital investment firm known as I Square Capital, with them investing more than 100 million USD over the next 3 years. We are also top-tier partners for all the 3 cloud service providers, and we are the professional service organization partner of VMware and NetApp as their right-hand man to execute professional services and training as well. Next slide, please. This shows the competencies we have with AWS now. We are one of the first AWS storage competency partner in Southeast Asia. Having all these competencies will align us with AWS technologies and allows us to offer the right and optimized solutions based on customers' requirements. Next slide, please. There are many partners out there. However, what really differentiates InfoFabrica from the rest of the partners? First of all, not all partners are able to provide partner-led enterprise support. Customer can directly open case with us instead of AWS under our managed services backed by AWS support organization. Next, we have a unique proprietary cloud management platform with inbuilt machine learning known as Arcus. Arcus is our own IP, which we built out from scratch. It allows self-service MSP dashboard, multi-cloud spend visibility, and code pipeline automation. We are also the only AWS storage competency approved partner in Southeast Asia and have one of the most AWS competencies in Singapore. We are also #1 expert for VMware. While we are talking here, actually we are helping Union Bank to migrate their workload to AWS VMC. We are helping them to move up to 400 critical applications to AWS VMC without them making changes to their application, tools, and existing process. This is one of the largest AWS VMC projects in Southeast Asia. We have strong traditional hybrid expertise with enterprise partner for VMware, NetApp, and Druva. We have mature collaboration experience with Equinix, VDX, and other data center colo providers. InfoFabrica strongly believe the world is hybrid, and by having strong collaboration with these partners, this means that we can provide real-world expertise in hybrid solution. Lastly, we are just awarded Druva Most Active Partner for the year 2021. This helps us to align with Druva solution and best practices. Not only are we actively working together to have joint go-to-market engagement, we work closely together for technical architecture and sizing review. Next, I just want to share a use case with you guys on how we work with Druva to tackle one of our customers. This customer is an existing InfoFabrica customer, which is a conglomerate which is based in Singapore headquarters. They are a group that has diverse business in retail, real estate, financial services, and hospitality. So one of the major business challenges is they do have silo stacks of infrastructure that spans across on-premise, within the cloud, and software as a service, as they are leveraging M365 for their exchange and collaboration tools. They do have their existing backup solution. However, it's not able to tackle and backup effectively, especially from the SaaS per se. They feel that it's difficult to manage the existing backup solutions to cover all these silo stacks of infrastructure, and they really want a single solution that provides single panel of glass for ease of management, backup, and monitoring. That's when we, together with Druva, come into place for this customer. First of all, we conduct an assessment and a workshop to try to find out which are the workloads that they wish to have backup. And from there, based on their workload, we try to calculate what is the estimated amount of storage that they need to store on the Phoenix Cloud itself, taking the duplication into consideration. After which, InfoFabrica conducted POC for their on-premise workload and Microsoft Office 365 and established certain success criteria. All these criteria, of course, covers things like accidental deletion of user emails, Teams conversation, and make sure that data is always protected. By leveraging on Druva solution, we are able to exhibit the capabilities of Druva Phoenix for their on-premise workload and InSync for their SaaS backup. And their on-premise databases are securely protected in Druva AWS Cloud environment. Next slide, please. Now we are also going to explain InfoFabrica Backup as a Service to AWS. InfoFabrica Backup as a Service simplifies the backup process and provides a flexible and affordable backup solution in AWS for your physical and virtual environment. It supports your on-premise environment, especially from VMware and Hyper-V. It provides high-speed recovery. It stores data securely in AWS Cloud, and it is fully managed by InfoFabrica. It is a simple and scalable solution that is applicable in all AWS regions. This solution is an OpEx model. Everything is catered for in terms of implementation and managed services. No additional hardware and software is required, and it is a subscription model. And it provides a single pane of glass to manage your environment and ease of management in terms of trying to do backup, archival, and DR. Of course, there are some business benefits for this solution as well. First of all, it is an off-site infrastructure backup. This means that this is a cloud-based backup and recovery infrastructure that is hosted completely off-site. It is reliable, durable, fast and cost-effective data recovery that is enabled by a multi-region public cloud infrastructure. Next, it also improves business agility as well. A cloud-native data management approach enables fast response times in the case of failover for DR with RTO measured in minutes. You can also move VMs across region for regulatory needs or even for test and development purposes, or even for multi-offices approach as well. Business can back up their VMs from the data center to the public cloud and move or recover entire VMs or individual files. Cost savings, speed, and efficiency improvements can be achieved by minimizing the storage footprint through global deduplication and optimizing the storage tiers within AWS. Next, it is also in the cloud. Sorry, can you go back to the next slide, previous slide, please? Yeah. And in terms of the cloud, VM can configure for DR, failover, and copy as need for production or test and development. Leveraging the public cloud also enables more flexible with data movement. Workloads can be spread across geographic for easy replication. It can, and unlike the traditional CAPEX model, the OPEX model used by a cloud-based solution enables enterprise to pay for only what they use, and overall, this lowers the TCO. In some instances, we can see up to 50% TCO savings. And this can also be helped by the automated storage tiering for archiving by going to the cold storage for very cold data. And lastly, this only charged based on consumption, and it has savings due to the duplication in source. Next, please. On the right-hand side, this is a high-level architecture of how this solution is like. And there are various components within this solution. And of course, from storage perspective, we will leverage on the elastic on-demand storage, which is the S3 within AWS solution itself. Next, there is also a Phoenix agent, which is a client component that needs to be installed in each server that you wish to back up to the Phoenix cloud. This Phoenix agent communicates with the Phoenix cloud to initiate scheduled backups and restore. Of course, you will have the Phoenix management console, which is a web-based GUI for you to easily manage the whole environment regardless of where you are. You also need to have a backup proxy, which is a virtual machine that you must deploy to backup and restore virtual machines in the VMware setup. You also have the Phoenix AWS proxy, which is an EC2 instance in the AWS account that runs a Phoenix service. So in the end of a disaster, the Phoenix AWS proxy replicates data from the Phoenix storage to the AWS account and creates an AMI copy at a frequency specific in the DR plan. Lastly, you also have the Phoenix Cloud Cache, which is a dedicated server that stores data temporarily from Phoenix agent. Phoenix Cloud Cache then periodically synchronizes the temporary data to Phoenix Cloud, which relax the bandwidth consumption in your infrastructure and accelerate backup and restoration of the local data. Lastly, there are key features of this solution, especially for the main 5 pillars. From the backup and for data backup and recovery, it is an incremental backup after establishing the first full baseline. And as mentioned as SJ, there is no restoration of cloud egress charges. All these are being taken care by the solution. And there's a global source inline deduplication, which ensure the storage is always kept to the minimum. For administration, of course, we have the cloud-based centralized management console, which allows you to manage from anywhere. And in terms of data archiving, there's auto tiering, which allows you to tier data from hot to warm, warm to long-term cold storage. And there's no limitation in the number of snapshots that you want to keep. In terms of disaster recovery, you can achieve fast RTO within 2 minutes and allows secure failover to AWS, VPC, or VMC environment. And lastly, from data security and privacy, we have AES 256 in terms of data arrest encryption, TLS 1.2 in terms of data transit. And lastly, there is complete data privacy with no access to the customer data.
Lawrence, it's Kumar here. This is really exciting to see InfoFabrica capability to support customer implementing an efficient backup and DR solution, especially with AWS and Druva. I have a few questions for you if you are okay.
Sure, Kumar, go ahead.
Yeah, so what are the typical scenarios InfoFabrica helps a customer implementing these solution, backup and disaster recovery solutions? So what I mean is, what are the usual entry points for customers you see?
Okay, so usually there are a few scenarios or entry points. So based on experience, first of all, it could be customers that wish to embark a hybrid cloud journey, as what we showcased in the previous use cases. So usually they have various silos of infrastructure. They have their existing on-premise workload, They have their new cloud native initiative, cloud native application on the public cloud itself. And they even have some of the SaaS platform. So in this case, they will always try to revamp their existing solution. They always try to find those new solutions available in the market that's able to manage all these different silos of infrastructure. And secondly, of course, due to existing customers, there's also people that have their aging backup infrastructure that is due for tech refresh, expiring assets. So they will take the chance to review TCO and explore backing up to cloud as an alternative, since everybody wants to enjoy the economies of scale within the cloud environment itself. And lastly, it could be also for customers that totally embark fully to the public cloud journey. So what they have within their legacy backup solutions may not be a good fit, since what exists on-premise may be different setup within the public cloud itself. So that's when they need to fully explore new solutions to keep their data protected within the cloud and have a valid BCP plan within the public cloud itself.
Right, exciting. And especially for the customers who are kind of reaching to tech refresh of their existing, let's say, legacy backup environment. I see a lot of customers having large number of tapes, and maybe for compliance reason, they have to keep this for 8 to 10 years. And we wish we had a better answer, but I think there's no magic wand to migrate your tapes. My question is, as a consulting partner, I think InfoFabrica may add a great value of assessing customer environment and helping them migrate. Is this something which you could focus and help customers as well, migrating their existing legacy tapes to cloud?
Yeah, we do encounter such customers' needs before. And we know that there are some third-party solutions out there to help to migrate data from tape to the cloud. But usually we will always try to strike a balance to see whichever makes sense from effort and financial terms. I mean, modernizing backup solution, replace current tape backup infra with, for example, tape gateway and S3 within AWS is pretty seamless. But the major effort will be to restore the existing tapes and move into cloud. I mean, that's the major challenge which is faced by a lot of customers. I mean, this is a pretty extensive job because at times maybe the current media reader may not be able to read the older tapes, or even there are instances which the older tapes are totally unreadable or faulty, unable to retrieve from the existing tape swap environment. So usually we will try to recommend our customers to coexist. What do we mean by coexist? As in the existing tape environment, make sure that they can keep the tapes. Once they expire, they can just go ahead and dispose those tapes once they pass their retention policy. Of course, new backup, new retention policy should leverage on the new modernized backup infrastructure. So this will be more like a transition stage between having the new backup infra and also retaining the old backup infra. Unless there's really a need, then we will go through the whole painful process, which is trying to restore all the tapes and put it into the
That's
cloud.
absolutely right. So typically, how does an engagement cycle look for a customer? So if I engage with InfoFabrica, I think you briefly mentioned that you go through discovery, solutioning, and all. Would you mind giving a quick, peek of the whole engagement cycle for a customer?
Sure. So basically, I mean, InfoFabrica, as mentioned, we are a ICT company. So of course, it doesn't only just constrain to just backup and DR capabilities. Of course, we have expertise in other domains as well. But usually, our engagement cycle will be usually the step one. We will have a workshop discussion with the customer to realign their expectation, and also trying to involve the various stakeholders. Because when we talk about various stakeholders, not only just people from InfoFabrica side, we also need to talk to the various people in the customer side. For example, maybe out to the director of IT or the champion or even the sponsor of the project to realign with their expectations. Next, of course, there will be a workshop, discovery and data collection, which we are trying to assess their current infrastructure backup environment. We also will try to gather as much data points as possible related to whichever solution that we're trying to propose. And we also will go through some standard questionnaires from our end as well, pertaining to different requirements. After which one we have all these data points, right? We will try to do some data analysis. Based on all this data, we will try to design the solution. So once we design the solution, we will build on it. We will try to explain to the customer and try to get an endorsement from them. Once they endorse on our design and proposed solution, then we will go ahead and do the implementation. And of course, for some of the existing customers, when we do this implementation, we will also try to reach out to see within their existing environment, what are the things that we can optimize and even do certain level of automation as well to make them become more agile and ease of management. And lastly, when all these implementation are done, then we will try to onboard them via our managed services, which will help them to manage their environment as well. Yeah. So usually this is how a engagement cycle will look like. Yeah.
That sounds really comprehensive. So one last question for you. How can the audience today know more about your solution? And any extra benefit if they want to start immediately, let's say within the next 2 weeks?
Sure. So basically, under the business benefit, if they engage us immediately or within the next 1 month, we will provide 1 hour free consulting, respective of whichever areas that they want to discuss and talk about. And of course, from the SaaS promotion, via the AWS Marketplace, you will be entitled 18 months of subscription while only paying the price of 1 year. So basically, you're getting a 50% discount for the first year. And lastly, you have the Cloud Ranger free trial for the 10 users. Basically, Druva Cloud Ranger is the protection of native AWS workloads. Okay, next slide, please. And basically, you can contact us via this URL with the form. So basically, we require basic details from you, like which company you are from, what is your email address, what's your contact number, and which are the area of focus do you wish to contact us in terms of consulting. If not, you can just drop us contact us via the email address. And of course, you can visit, lastly, our rebrand website, which you can go ahead and find out more about what are the solutions that we do, what are the use cases that we have. And there's also a chatbot for you to engage us as well.
Thank you so much. I think that was wonderful. May I please request the panelists to come on TV one last time. Thank you so much, InfoFabrica, Druva, for such an insightful, inspiring session. And thank you, Nachiketa, for being such a wonderful host. I hope our customers, who are esteemed audiences as well, had a good time listening and learning from all of us.